Hey everybody, this is Perch. A bit more of a personal video, so I hope you don't mind. I don't like I do these videos every now and then where I'm talking about myself, and people ask about things in mail, and I get a lot of requests for, but I don't like to do it because it just sounds kind of douchey overall. And this video will sound douchey, so spoilers, douchey is coming. Um, I'm a bit well. Let me explain a few things that's going on. I mean, as you know, I moved. Moving was a big deal. It didn't used to be. When I was younger, I moved around a lot. I've lived in other countries for extended periods of time, and that was pretty easy. But it turns out when you have kids, they collect stuff, and so boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. And I was horrified by this move, just the sheer volume of stuff. I mean, never in my life. I remember moving a few times in my car. Like I just put the stuff in my car, moved. I then I remember upgrading to stuff in my car plus the small little U-Haul thing that I could like throw some furniture in and move. I used to be the guy who would buy cheap furniture and just like I'd move and bail on it. Just it's the world's now. It's not mine. I'll start over with new furniture. But anyway, lots of stuff, lots of unpacking. I was on with Joe last night. We were just catching up, and I'm embarrassed because I'm there. It's like, well, I've got my studio like 25% of the way set up. It's just bare, and there's like crap everywhere and boxes and junk and like a step ladder and Joe's always a class guy, right? So he's looking at me. I mean, he's not saying a word, but if I'm Joe, I'm like, what is going on with this guy? That's what I would be thinking. Just all this junk in the background. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Anyway, my email is abysmal, as you know, as I've talked about a lot on this show. There's just so much of it. Right now, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, and is the little icon. It's like you have 4,321 unread messages. A lot. Now, I'm not terribly alarmed by that. It sounds like a big number, and it is. But keep in mind, half of that are people trying to get pretend like they're going to sponsor my channel for yoga pants or other nonsense. I mean, there's a lot of crap in there, and generally you can weed through it pretty quickly. One thing that thoroughly irks me, and I don't know if the rest of you have the same problem, but Gmail is complete bullshit for spam filtering. They will put legitimate questions into spam, and they will let hello, I am representative of company that is doing Levi jeans. You will be my new spokesman. How does that stuff get through? I thought this was an old thing, but I've started getting mails of the Nigerian prince again, and how he just needs a loan, and then he can get me $1 million if I would just give him a little bit of money. Like this is a scam from 30 years ago. It has a generation has passed. What I want to know is, was it brought back, or did like the new generation think up this same scheme by accident? That's what I'm curious about. And why Nigerian? I mean, are there rich Nigerian princes out there really that are loaded in? I mean, anyway. So I have a lot of this mail, and I get questions from time to time to review stuff and get things done. And one thing that slows down the whole process, by the way, because it does irritate me. I feel it's not shame, just frustration in myself that I'm not promoting more people's stuff, that I'm not reading more people's material. And every now and then I get, not every now and then, quite a bit, I get the, hey, will you review my stuff? Will you hype my stuff? And the challenge with it, as I mentioned before, is always I want to do a good job. You're giving me something that you created, and I feel a higher responsibility for your small stuff. I don't mean that disparagingly, but your personal stuff than I do for a Marvel or a DC that is a giant company, and they have a marketing department, and I'm one of a billion. Right? There's a sliding scale. It's like Marvel, DC. I can go a lot quicker, more casually. I can do reviews in the car. If I get something wrong, I'll correct it later. It's not as big a deal to me. And then further down you get to Mark Miller, looking at some of his advanced copies and stuff, and like, okay, I want to do a better job because somebody's giving me a look early. Snyder stuff. If I get an early look at that, whatever it happens to be, I want to try and do a better job there. But then I get down to the people who are up and coming small creators who are doing this out of passion, and for those people, I really want to do a good job. So when something gets sent in, I will read it, put it on a tablet, go to the website, try and educate myself a little bit. I won't do the bit where I mispronounce the name to see if it results in engagement. I still can't wrap my head around that. By the way, if you're going, what? There's this bit of advice that was given saying, mispronounce names and you'll find your video engagement goes up. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And so I started doing it, and damn it if it wasn't true. And I still can't, like, I hate it. I got a injected stupidity shouldn't result in good things. I don't know. That haunts me anyway. Um, and so anyway, that's kind of how I go. But I go. Somebody asked me to review something, and I go look. And what happens, not frequently, but infrequently, is I'll go to look, and what I'll discover is that the person sent me this thing to review like 2 months ago. Oh, by the way, if you're sending me something to review and there's a time constraint, please lead with that. Like, I've got a campaign starting next month, so you need to do this in next month, or don't bother. I need that. I need that timeline. Otherwise, I'm just trying to be fair about when things come in, and I know I miss campaigns as a result. Much credit to Jordan Plotsky over at Zoop, who is really good about, hey, would you mention something here? It's coming out in this window. If you don't get to it, no problem, but this is the window it needs to come out. That's very helpful. It just helps steer things. But I'll go over sometimes and look at these people's site. Well, discovers they sent me something like a month or two ago, and then they didn't hear back because I'm not responding to anything. And then they've taken to Perch is an asshole. And it flips from will you help me to I hate you, you're a poser, you're garbage, you're awful. And sometimes, I don't go way back in the timeline. I'm not that guy. I'm not the stalker. I have started to create a list of the people who are stalkers here. I'm not alarmed, but I don't know, dismayed that there's a group of people out there who make it their lives to like screenshot things I do and like create a little database. That's you're a loser. If you're listening right now, you are you're wasting your life. But two, you are clearly disturbed individual. You know who you are. Also, don't make fun of people's wives. Just throwing that out there too. No, just coincidentally, just throwing that out there. Okay. So I see this stuff, and I don't know if there was a whole like a transition period where the person was loving my channel and hyping me up and everything else on wherever they do their stuff, and then it flipped to hatred. I don't know if that happened. All I'm seeing is the hatred because that's at the top. And sometimes the hatred is kind of like Perch is a jerk. I don't think he's very good. His opinions suck. Sometimes it goes much further. Sometimes it gets into personal stuff with my family and other things, and it's guaranteed I'm definitely not promoting the book at that point. I'm like, okay, I'm moving to the next one on the list. But it is, I do feel bad for not getting to it faster. But what irks me in that more than anything is that I hate how this industry, big and small at all levels, because you see this behavior for top pros, you see this behavior from people at the bottom who are making their way up brand new, starting with nothing. There is very much a binary all in, all hate kind of mentality that exists in a lot of people. And this isn't normal. This isn't how, business gets done. If you're just thinking pragmatically about it, it's not how friendships get made. It's it's not just attack or love. During the Trump era, there was this thing that came out where people said that with Trump, his strategy was, attack, never defend, as a personal brand, as a strategy. With comics, it's sycophantic love or outrage over everything. And again, you see this at the top level, medium level, bottom level. You see this all throughout comics. This is the culture. It's a bad culture. And the you're with me or against me is crazy. In life, there is, you're with me, you're against me, or you're indifferent. And the indifferent pool tends to be the biggest pool in, normal life. In comics, there can be no indifferent pool. I made the comment, a while back. I mean, this little drama cropped up, and it's somebody was having a dumbass feud with somebody else, and they immediately pivoted to slamming the wife of the person. And the wife was on as active, but the argument wasn't with the wife. The wife was kind of irrelevant to the entire thing. The wife comes in to defend her husband, But clearly the wife was not involved in this argument. But anyway, drugging the wife in a personal kind of lousy way. And then they did a poll of should I drag the wife more? I've mentioned this story before. And I responded no. I didn't respond like no, you asshole, or no, you are a horrible, awful person, or anything. I just said no, kind of exasperated. No. If you're ever asking the question, should I drag this person's wife? The answer is always no. 100%. It will save you time. The answer is no. Same thing goes for children. And really, honestly, if you're using the word drag blank, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Anyway, what was amazing about that is that this person immediately pivoted to Perch is a EVS sycophant who is all in on CG. Really? I mean, I guess I mean, granted, I've done this to myself. I've had noted CG leader Ron Mars on the channel, who is a huge CG advocate. Obviously, there's that. Everybody knows Joe Corallo is a huge CG fan for sure, and makes a lot of books that they love. Absolutely. Um, how weird of a perspective. I mean, granted, there have been numerous live streams from CG channels talking about how amazing, intelligent, and up to speed my channel is. How great, especially the production values, they're top notch. I found it amazing, and this happens over and over and over again. Same thing happened, by the way. I do an interview with Jim Zub, and it's like, oh, Perch is part of the Super SJW crowd. That association thing is bizarre. I try not to do it myself. There's a guy who finally, I kicked the guy from the channel. Because he would regularly come in and post about, see, how do I want to put this in the nicest possible way? Getting with my daughter. And, granted, there weren't many, I pulled that. I do tend to pull tweets. By the way, I do very little grooming of the messages, but if you're going to post a message about, being with a minor on my channel, I'm going to pull it. If YouTube doesn't already, they tend to miss those tweets. So that's awesome. But that's a good way to get kicked for sure. My daughter, anyone, frankly, not the place for it. And every now and then I go and I look at, I don't watch a lot of other YouTube videos, but I go and I look at other channels, and I see the same person is often pinned with, with some of the big CG channels. It's a big, and it doesn't make me feel good about those channels. I'll just throw that out there. But I do try not to associate, people. Everybody should be judged on their own merits. That's the way I was brought up. I understand that's old fashioned. I understand that's not popular now, but you have your own opportunity to write your own story. That's just, how I feel about it. If you choose violence, if you choose jackass in your life, that's your choice. And then, I will respond accordingly. But this, I think you're with this other group, therefore I'm going to respond stuff. I mean, not only do I think that's very wasteful, it's just unfair, particularly when in comics, there's so much changing of sides. I mean, only in wrestling are there as many heel and face turns in comics as there are. It is, I love you today, I will hate you tomorrow kind of mentality. And it's, I'll get cheesy here for a moment. That's not what Spider-Man teaches us. That's not what Superman teaches us. How can you read comics and be in love with comics and act like this? I don't understand it. Again, at any level, big, small, if you profess to really understand this business, understand this stuff, then you have to at some point look in the mirror and go, yeah, I'm the Norman Osborn here. That's what I am. I am the egghead. Because honestly, you're not cool enough to be Norman Osborn. You You're the lackey number 4 when AIM shows up in an Avengers comic as a bunch of jobbers. That's what you are in many cases when you act like this. You're not the hero. Stop thinking you're the hero in your own warped little mind. You're a jackass. Um, I don't watch a lot of other YouTube channels. It's because of time. When I'm, my best opportunity to do that would be when I'm driving around. Well, I've converted driving around to recording videos, so I watch very little. I don't know what all's going on out there. Every now and then, people are like, "Hey, they're talking about you over on this channel." I used to go listen to a lot of those. I don't as much anymore. It's just, you know, I wish there was more just honest feedback that would come in. A lot of this stuff is either, again, very very complimentary and thank you, or it's I'm boring, my voice is bad. What is he even talking about? He's flat wrong, and a bunch of other dumb shenanigans from people who honestly, I mean, you know, don't have a lot of credibility. Uh, Look, it all is what it is. I guess too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. I don't know. I don't know how you'd get to this point in the video if you weren't listening. Um, if you want me to review your stuff, I'm happy to do it. I do want to support you. Please give me time. If you are going to want me to review your stuff, and 3 weeks later you're going to be furious with me for not doing it and start calling me out and all the rest of this shit, don't bother in the first place. I mean, honestly, that this it's I'm happy to help you, but find some allies that are not going to be so fickle in your mind, and just stick with it. And then the last piece is, I mean, you're not being a great friend to anyone if you ignore any flaw and only focus on the benefits. It's good to be honest with people. It's good to just let them know what you're thinking. It's stupid to be all in, all in, all in. One thing happens you don't like, and you immediately flip. You are not the Big Show. You do not need to be going back and forth on this, every week. In all honesty, why did they do this to Paul White? Like, how many heel face turns that guy do in a year? It's like every other week they were flipping him. And I've met Paul White. I've spent time with Paul White. I think he's a very nice guy. I mean, this is one of the people who's one of the kindest persons you've ever met. I'm talking, if you're sorry, the Big Show. He's a wrestler. He's a really good guy. Of all the rest, I've met many people in wrestling. Paul White is by far one of the most solid. And also, if you've ever flown with Paul White, poor guy, like, he can't fit in the airplane bathroom. I mean, he's huge. He's a big guy, but he's very nice, and he's really talented in terms of delivery and speeches. Yeah, his moveset is, I mean, as he's gotten older, certainly, he's not going to be, Misawa in the ring, but he's a good guy. And why did they screw around with his character so much? Flipping him every other week, it devalued the company and him. It's stupid. Anyway, sorry for segueing into wrestling talk, but you didn't know where this deck was going, huh? It is what it is. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me vent a little bit. I just would like to finish moving in. It sucks. So for those of you who asked for a little peek behind the curtain, a little bit of what's going on, there you go. I hope it was as good for you as it wasn't good for me at all. So I hope it was good for you. Thanks for listening.